On behalf of the Berkman Klein Center, along with colleagues at the Humboldt Institute, Digital Asia Hub, and Mercator Foundation, we are pleased to be a key partner on the Ethics of Digitization initiative, which will create stronger linkages between scholars in Europe, North America, and Asia, and meaningfully contribute to the global discourse around technology ethics. I'm Amar Ashar, Assistant Director of Research at the Berkman Klein Center, and Senior Researcher for our work on the ethics and governance of artificial intelligence. Last year, President Steinmeier visited Harvard University and gave a talk on the ethics of digital transformation. He described the critical need to bridge technical and scientific communities with law, philosophy, and social science, and underscored how this approach requires more than breaking down silos across disciplines. We need global cooperation to help shape global technology development that impacts billions of users and people around the world. Academic institutions are well positioned to enhance global cooperation by building pathways for new generations of students to advance knowledge and apply research in practical ways that helps to preserve the public interest. Over the last few years, companies and governments have become more aware of the role technology plays across all sectors and domains. And in a domain like AI, they have attempted to express values and direction through high-level principles documents. For instance, in 2018, Google was among the first companies to share a set of principles expressing how the systems it develops should be socially beneficial, fair, accountable, and safe. But it has grappled with how these principles apply to specific technologies they have developed and partners that the company works with. Google's CEO recently expressed the need for AI regulation and said that principles that remain on paper are meaningless. Over time, many companies and countries have followed suit, and in 2020, they are now entering a phase where they will see how the rubber meets the road, where they are trying to implement these principles into practice. Many are already running into significant challenges. For instance, in the United States, facial recognition has become a prominent digital issue. How might companies who have committed to principles of non-discrimination reconsider deployment of biometric identity technologies where there is evidence these tools cause disparate harm to marginalized communities? This example demonstrates the need for new ways of thinking about the issue and why new approaches to technological development may be required. Tricky digital issues policymakers face range from content moderation to the role of platforms in our daily lives, to misinformation and bias and discrimination, automation, and many more. Decision makers in both the public and private sectors will be at a disadvantage if they are unable to connect local and national challenges into the global discourse of technology, and vice versa. Here, standards may fragment, harms may go unaddressed, and trust is eroded if this is not addressed globally. Research networks like the Global Network of Internet and Society Centers, which consists of over 100 research institutions around the world, play an important role in bridging some of the gaps I've described, creating opportunities for knowledge sharing and translation, and channels for student participation, engagement, and co-design. MIT professor Eric von Hippel often talks about how innovation happens on the edges of organizations. And research centers often sit at the edges of universities, both physically and metaphorically, and allow for unique modes of participation for students and creation of new formats for communication across sectors. Research institutions also serve as a place of convergence, where decision makers and others can confer with students, researchers, and faculty studying the dynamics of digital change and transformation on the ground. Emerging models for problem solving, like the Berkman Klein Center's policy practice, borrow features from a model of clinical education where faculty and students partner with collaborators from the public and private sectors and come up with good practices and agile interventions that enhance decision-making. The Ethics of Digitization initiative has an opportunity to accelerate knowledge discovery and build a better pipeline for getting evidence-based research to policymakers quickly. Drawing on existing global networks, it will foster the participation of regional partners, especially those in global South countries, where often the most vulnerable populations and less well-resourced governments either miss out on the benefits of digitization or experience more harms than good. The project is also focused on delivering practical solutions to decision makers who are facing many hard challenges. What makes this special is both the highly engaged and well-established partners, as well as the carefully curated learning process all those involved will go through. Through a series of research sprints, clinics, and convenings, the project will have a long-term impact on technical and scientific domains, while also training emerging researchers to consider more holistic ways to bridge technology, policy, and the public interest.